This is the Green Room. I'm Katelyn Mattson. I'm so excited to welcome into the Green Room Shannon Jennings, soprano, and Grant Preisser, stage director, both of them in Wichita right now, preparing Dvorak's Rusalka with Wichita Grand Opera. Hello to the both of you.
Good afternoon, Caitlin.
Hey, Caitlin, good to be here.
I would just like to start off by asking you both, where are you from? Where did you fly in from? Shannon, let's start with you.
I flew in from Norfolk, Virginia, but I'm actually originally from Orlando, Florida. And so this is my first time in Kansas. Great to be here.
Welcome to Kansas. We're so glad you get to be here. What do you think so far? Friendly people? Has somebody made you a casserole yet?
No casseroles yet, but very friendly. It's my first time in the Midwest, and it's, a new and different experience. And that's one of the coolest things about being a singer is that you get to go to new and different places that you might not otherwise visit.
Shannon, you play the title role, Rusalka. Can you tell us a little bit about her?
Sure. Rusalka is a water nymph, which is a little bit different from other tellings of the story where she's a mermaid. So she's not in the ocean, she's in a lake, and she wants to be human. And it's interesting how in this piece we learn so much about what it means to be human from this non-human perspective. But she's a character that goes through a big journey, a big arch, starting out with, this immature want and desire and then realizing that she has consequences to pay for certain actions and exchanges. Um, and she doesn't like the results. And she has a very dark ending to her tale compared to maybe even the Hans Christian Andersen version. It's even darker.
Rusalka is, well, we should say that our modern day take of The Little Mermaid is an interpretation of Rusalka. Grant Preisser, stage director of this work. This is not your first time directing this particular opera. This is kind of a fascinating way for certain audiences to maybe be introduced to opera for the first time because of the connection that they have to The Little Mermaid. Can you talk a bit about how you approach staging a work like this with that in mind?
Yeah, I think you're exactly right. This is a nice intro because people know the story generally. So there's not a barrier necessarily in terms of trying to, understand the music, understand the language, and understand the plot. So at least the plot is there. For me as a stage director, it's really important to make it as accessible as possible. So even if people don't know the plot, that we're honoring the story, we're not trying to make it more dense or more difficult than it needs to be. And fairy tales are great in the sense that they are very straightforward. It is a very simple point that they're trying to make. So a lot of it is me just kind of stepping out of the way and letting the words and the music kind of do a lot of the storytelling and then making sure that the audience is sort of brought along in that process. And they're feeling this amazing journey that Rusalka goes on throughout this piece.
Rusalka, the Wichita Grand Opera production is this Saturday and Sunday in Century 2 Concert Hall. Saturday the 21st at 7 o'clock, and then Sunday the 22nd at 3 o'clock. You can find out any information you need and where to get tickets by going to wichitagrandopera.org. So, Shannon, what is it like singing this music? Dvorak is not a typical composer that might spring to mind when somebody is thinking about opera. You know, they might think about Puccini or Mozart, but tell us about this music.
This music is really special. We know him in America really as a symphonic composer. He did write, I think it's about 8 operas. And Rusalka is the one that now gets performed in the US. It's his work is performed more in Europe than it is in the US, but it's really exciting when we get to delve into this because it is so different. I would really describe it as a symphony with voices because
Mm.
the orchestration is so dense, so lush, so detailed. And it's really exciting to put that together on the opera stage with all the things that we know and love about stagecraft and storytelling on the stage.
And Grant, you are not only a stage director, but you are a known set artistic set director. You've created amazing works of art. Are you creating the visuals here as well as directing?
No, I'm working with some great local designers and artists. Jordan Slusher is doing the projection design and sort of scenic design, and it is very projection based, which I think is great because it kind of allows us to kind of take. It feels more cinematic than simply theatrical, which I like a lot. And then Michael Cole will be doing lighting design for this, so we're really leaning into the virtual world of projections and lighting and atmosphere and effect to tell this story.
And I imagine there's such an opportunity for that when you think about the fact that half of the show is set underwater.
Right, right. Yeah, we've got water and nature and all sorts of stuff that we have to kind of make happen to tell this story.
We're going to listen to a little bit from Rusalka. This is probably the most well-known snippet of music from the opera. It's an aria, Song to the Moon. We're going to listen to soprano Renee Fleming sing it. Shannon, what is she singing about?
She is singing To the Moon, which in this case really represents her desire to leave the elemental world, to leave the world of water, and to become human. And so it's that sort of, if you want to think about it through the music theater lens, it's the I want song. It's what she wants in the human world, to be with the prince, to experience love, to experience being a human. And so it's really what sets her into a bit of a catastrophe with what's to come afterwards, but it's the moment of calm and beauty and desire and idealizing the human world.
We'll be back with Grant and Shannon from Wichita Grand Opera. This is Song to the Moon from Rusalka, sung by Renee Fleming with the London Symphony Orchestra. That gorgeous aria is from Antonin Dvorak's opera Rusalka, which is being staged this weekend at Wichita Grand Opera, Saturday the 21st at 7 o'clock in Century 2 Concert Hall, and then again Sunday the 22nd at 3 o'clock. And I have the stage director of that production, Grant Preisser, here with me in the green room, as well as Rusalka herself, Shannon Jennings. I would like to just say first a big shout out and thank you to Whitney Reeder, who is currently holds the torch for Wichita Grand Opera. He set up this particular interview with the two of you, and he is conducting. It's music conducting the production. Is that correct?
Yes, yeah. He's been leading the charge throughout the whole process.
I would like to ask each of you a couple of questions just about singing, performing your career, Grant, as a stage director. Um, well, first of all, Shannon, is performing something you always wanted to do, or did it start out as something different?
Yes, performing is absolutely something I wanted to do. I came from a family of musicians, music teachers, instrumentalists, a church music director. But what I really wanted to do was be on the stage. And so I was always a musician by trade, but I was a stage performer by passion. And so I feel like I ended up exactly in what I wanted to do, which not everybody can say. And I find that to be a huge privilege.
Shannon was just talking with me off the air about where she's off to next. Was it your fifth Mimi, your fifth
Yes.
La Boheme you're about ready to perform? Where at?
That's going to be with Charleston Opera Theater in Charleston, South Carolina.
Congratulations. How
Thank
wonderful that
you.
you get to do what you love. Grant, you wear many hats. You're not only a stage director, you're a scene designer. You've done some work like on the administrative side of the arts. How did you yourself fall into this line of work?
A very circuitous path, actually, unlike Shannon, who is very driven and focused. Um, I uh, I'm currently the artistic director at Opera Orlando and kind of head up production and marketing for them, which is great. And it's nice to kind of have a full-time home to live in and kind of work build my art. But I started as a singer. I did my undergraduate in voice, and then I got a master's degree in interior design, and I was a commercial interior designer for a long time. And then started teaching, got into academia and higher ed admin, and then kind of circled back to music, got another master's in music, specifically opera directing. Um, and what I really like is I was able to kind of marry all of those experiences to kind of fully conceptualize opera and tell these stories in sort of a full formed way, and that's what I really enjoy doing now. So although circuitous, I think I've landed where I want to be and I'm very passionate about.
Yes. this particular production of Rusalka, you told us a little bit, you gave us a little glimpse when you're talking about the use of projection, manipulating light, and the setting of the sea, the ocean, as well as land, lending itself so well to that. And I imagine so. And we just heard this glorious aria, which is sung to the moon. I mean, talk about a designer's dream to design this scene with essentially a water nymph in the
Yeah.
sea looking up at the sky.
It's such a grand scale, and I think that's what I love about opera in general, and especially this story. And what Dvorak has given us is something that is super, it's straightforward in that it's a fairy tale, but it's a very passionate rendition of the tale, and really explores love and the naivete of love and youth, and sort of real life consequences. And so to paint this picture on such a grand scale, has been really exciting and really fun, and I can't wait for the show to open on Saturday, and for an audience to see all the hard work everyone has put in.
And Shannon, you sing operatic roles that are set throughout history, including modern day, more contemporary roles. Is there something kind of delightful and delectable about being able to essentially dress like a mermaid?
Oh, absolutely. Childhood dreams. I mean, I grew up in Orlando. I was a Disney child of the 90s. Absolutely.
Yes,
Dressing
I
up.
have every line of The Little Mermaid memorized here.
Absolutely, you bet. But you know what's really great is how you can never predict what it's going to be like, actually. So you may have an idea in your mind about what does it mean to dress up as a mermaid, but every production is going to be a little bit different and have its own unique costumes and aesthetic, and overall design. And so I'm just really excited for audiences to see this. I'm excited to see the design of the lighting. That's because of course we're all imagining it at this point, and this week we're going to put it together.
Rusalka is the 21st and 22nd, this coming Saturday and Sunday at Century 2 in the concert hall. Saturday's performance is at 7 o'clock and Sunday afternoons is at 3 o'clock. Although it has a different ending than The Little Mermaid, it would be, because of The Little Mermaid, an excellent introduction to opera if you have teenagers or maybe anybody who has watched The Little Mermaid on repeat, like we all did once upon a time, to bring them and introduce them to such an art form. You can get more information about the production, about Wichita Grand Opera's season, which is entirely fairy tales. Not only are they producing Rusalka, but also Hansel and Gretel and Cenerentola, which is Rossini's Cinderella. Go to wichitagrandopera.org. Again, that's wichitagrandopera.org for information on the show and to get some tickets. Thank you so much, Grant and Shannon. Toy, toy, toy. Have a wonderful production, and thank you for taking the time to talk today.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.